So, I think what this recording is so I tend very late at night. For example, we're at 2:35 a.m. at night, and what I tend to do at these very late hours is ramble a lot, and sometimes these rambles hold maybe some kind of merit, but I've never, honestly, I never really explained them outside of just the 2 a.m. deep talk. But I do think of them a lot even during the day when I am fully conscious. I guess I don't know, I'm in a weird state at 2 a.m. where I'm in between the unconscious and conscious, so maybe that's where the rambles and the expansive ideas and philosophy and whatever derives from. But I've never recorded myself doing it, so I am acting a bit unnaturally than when I usually ramble. I'm very direct because this is recording me, right? So bear with that, but hopefully the more I talk, the more I will get into the more of a natural deliverance and pace. And I will be going on and pausing as much as I am right now, but we'll see. So, I don't know what this video is. I guess I just want to capture this ramble just because I have it so often. I'm just curious, how does it sound for me to talk for so long and like this, right? And also, what are these ideas? I kind of want to capture my ramble so I can go back to these ideas, because maybe, like I said, there's merit in these ideas, but maybe there isn't. I don't know. We'll see. But let's talk about consciousness. Consciousness is something I've been really thinking a lot about. For consciousness is integral to death. And I guess I've just been thinking about death quite a bit too. So with the thought of death comes thoughts of consciousness. And I'm trying to figure out what I think consciousness might be. There are two avenues of thought to what consciousness is, and that is a part of our body, something that our brain just does because of the neurons and chemicals and just the structure of our brains, that we can just generate this level of awareness within us. Or consciousness is detached from us and is rather some, I don't know, out of body thing. If it's some divine gift, or if it's just, I don't know, just souls traversing from vessel to vessel. If our consciousness gives up this body and goes to another, like maybe a Buddhist idea. But that is to say that our consciousness is our persona, which I disagree with. And I think that's where kind of the idea of reincarnation goes awry, because we are not the same being from person to person. If that is the case, for consciousness, it doesn't hold personas within it. I am Aiden Saint. That is my persona. But Aiden Saint is only the collection of experiences and opinions and thoughts that I have accumulated over my years of being. So, Aiden Saint isn't the consciousness, it is just the persona that is imbued within the consciousness, but is not the consciousness. If I die, then there is no more Aiden Saint. Maybe the consciousness still persists, but there is no more Aiden Saint. That person dies, and the consciousness goes off into some other place or such. I had the analogy, or I thought of the analogy earlier, that consciousness is kind of like an engine in the personas, personalities that we have in life is the make of the car. For example, we could be the consciousness could be an engine in a Toyota Corolla, right? But then you could put that engine in a Honda Civic. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Honestly, I don't know. I'm not a mechanic. I'm not really into cars, so I don't know if you could. I'm guessing you could because they are kind of similar builds of cars. So I imagine you probably could, but I don't know. Anyways, the point is that we can just take the consciousness and just put it into different things, and then that consciousness is, I mean, it's just an ignition for awareness. It's just the ignition for the personality or persona to exist, but the consciousness in itself is not the persona. It's kind of like, well, what is it? All hornets are wasps, but not all wasps are hornets. One exists because of the existence of the other thing. But just because it exists because of the existence of the other thing, it's not vice versa. It's, I guess, kind of parasitic. Or not parasitic. It's, oh man, I forgot the fifth grade science terminology. Symbiotic? Symbiotic. It's kind of a symbiotic. Or no. What's the one in between? There's parasitic and symbiotic, but there's also one in between where one party benefits, but the other one doesn't really care about the other party's existence. I can't think of it, but if you know what I mean, then you know what I mean. You know the word I'm meaning, but you probably know what I mean. It is exactly what I just said. One party is benefiting from the other, but the other one is not, but doesn't really care. They're not being harmed in it. That's kind of what consciousness and personas are. Personas are benefiting from the existence of consciousness, but consciousness in itself doesn't really care that persona exists. Consciousness can exist without that one persona. It can just be another persona, or multiple personas if you're crazy or something. So, I mean, that is, that's the case. I mean, I think that's probably on some level of truth. That consciousness is separated from personas. I mean, we know that personas exist. We know that we are only acting the way we are and behaving the way we are and being the person that other people associate with us being, how even we associate with being, based off of experiences and opinions and just living, just time impacting us in the way that it does. And I mean, we know that we can separate the persona from the consciousness. That people can forget themselves. I mean, think of dementia. The brain deteriorates. Consciousness is still in effect, but the memory of oneself, the memory of their life, depletes, and the person stops being themselves. While they are conscious, they stop being themselves. Their persona depletes. And I guess in theory, you could give up your persona. I could stop being Aiden Saint and be somebody else. I could choose to live as somebody else. It could be, I don't know, Donald Christian. I could be that person, and Donald Christian is not like me. Donald Christian absolutely loves, I don't know what's the opposite of art. They love finances, man. They're like a finance bro. They just can't get enough of it. They're gonna exploit everything they can within a business. They want to cut labor. They want to grow the stocks. They want to appease the shareholders the most. They're the biggest financial bro you ever met in your life. And that's who Donald Christian is. Completely different from me. But yet, I could be Donald Christian. I probably will not be Donald Christian, for I am insane and I despise the person that Donald Christian is. But if just like a great actor, just like Daniel Day-Lewis or somebody, if I just absolve myself and give in to the character, to their experiences, to their perspective of the world, that I can be the character. Or not can be the character. Aiden stops being, and Donald Christian comes into existence. Because, like I said, the body is just a vestige for consciousness. Consciousness is just the ignition, the fuel for personas to exist. But personas aren't consciousness, but consciousness is personas. And that's that on that. Because now I wanna talk about death. So if consciousnesses are different than the personas, then the case is that when you die, then your persona most certainly dies forever. Aiden Saint. When the body of Aiden Saint dies, Aiden Saint will stop being. They will cease to exist. Or he will cease to exist. But that consciousness that ignited Aiden, I don't know what happens to the consciousness. The point is that the persona dies. The personhood dies. The consciousness, maybe that dies too. Maybe that never comes back into the fray. Or maybe it is like a soul that travels, and maybe there's a higher plane of existence that it then goes to live within. Or maybe it goes back to another vestige to live in, kind of like a worm, a parasite. I don't know. Or maybe this is a crazy thought that I had for a while, so I'm going to explain it as well as I can. So, here is a theory of mine of what may happen to us when we die. I like to think that death, just like almost everything, does not last forever. That when we die, it is only temporary. It is like sleeping, but much, much longer. And eventually, consciousness is regained. And like I said, the personhood dies. But consciousness still persists in some other manner. Whether that is higher existence or just another body to be absorbed within. Or maybe the atoms that made you and the whole universe up when you were conceived and when you were born. If the universe dies, but then reignites itself, if it can rebirth itself. I don't know if it's possible, but if the universe is capable of rebirthing itself, and it can do that over and over and over and over and over again for, I guess, an infinite amount of time, it'll just die and reborn. If it can do that, then that is infinite time, and with infinity comes every possibility happening an infinite amount of time, for that is just the nature of infinity. Things happen in infinite amount of time, for there is no stop. And infinity is something to get into later, but point is that with infinity comes infinite possibilities. So if infinite possibilities exist, then guess what? This world, composed of the same alignments of atoms, reoccurs after a huge amount of time. Incomprehensible to describe amount of times. Honestly, more than a Googleplex, probably. So much, like Googleplex to the Googleplex amount of time. Amount of time. See, I'm tired. Anyways. After that, long amount of time. The same alignment of atoms, the same causations, the same series of events, exact series of events get us to where I am born. Exact same thing. Exact same atoms that make me up when I was born. It happens. Exact same. And with infinity, that is possible. It takes a very long time to get there, but it is eventually achieved, and it's achieved an infinite amount of times. If that's the case, then when I am born, do I regain consciousness? For it is the exact construct that made me up. Now, if the same construct makes up the version of me in the far future, do I regain consciousness? I mean, why would I not? If consciousness is a bodily thing, then the exact same body is then conceived in the future. Why wouldn't I regain consciousness, right? So if that's the case, then, like I said, death does not last forever. It is like a sleep. And with sleep comes a kind of instant time travel into the future. When we sleep, we go unconscious, and time is irrelative to us. Time passes over us like nothing, and we awake. It's like time travel, right? Time traveling into the future by a sleep. And that's what happens. In death, we die unconscious, but eventually we're snapped back into being conscious. So, like I said, if that is the case, then when I regain consciousness, I don't know. And if I do, then I live forever. It's just sometimes I sleep for much longer than normal. Instead of sleep taking up 1/3 of my life, it takes up one. It takes up 99.999 amount of time. 90% amount of the time I'm alive. But, I mean, if that is the case, then still, I live forever. And maybe all those are different versions of me. I regain consciousness, but, it's like a parallel universe, it's a different dimension. That version of me is completely different than this version of me right here. So maybe alternate dimensions do exist, but instead of existing simultaneously, they just exist linearly. After one universe is the next universe, and the next universe, and the next universe, and the next universe, infinite amount of times. I'm sure that is already a theory somewhere out there. I do want to know who talks about it. I don't know if I'm going to upload this as a YouTube video. And even if I do, I don't know if anybody sees it. But if by some, grace of God, somebody has made it this far into, this is 22 minutes in. If you have made it this far, congratulations. Salute to you. If you know anybody that talks about, a kind of linear, alternate dimensions, let me know in the comments, please. I really want to know if anybody does talk about that. And if not, hey, maybe I'm on the frontiers of some new philosophical shit, which would be very cool. I very much love philosophy, as you can see from the myth of Sisyphus lying right there. It's not too heady a philosophy, but I do. Look at this. I do have Thus Spoke Zarathustra, which I have not read. I've actually read the first page, so I have not read, but I'm very excited to get into once I get better at reading, which I'm trying to achieve during the time being. But yeah, where was I? That was on topic. Has this thing even been on topic? I don't know. I don't know what topic we're on. But anyways, like I said, alternate dimensions happening linearly. I don't know. This speech impediment, I don't know how it has occurred. I don't know. Anyways. So yeah. Honestly, that is an idea from Nietzsche. I believe so. Where Nietzsche asked the question, what if you were to live your life in, over and over again? And it's not really something that is taken seriously. I don't think he doesn't treat it as like an actual theory of what happens to us after death. It's more of just a mind exercise. More of just asking ourselves, are we satisfied with the life we're living right now? And if we're not, then what do we gotta do to change it, to live better and such? But maybe it wasn't just a mental exercise, but truth. Maybe it was. And what's fun about this theory is that maybe we get to live in all of the alternate dimensions that we exist in. Maybe we get to live in all of those, and that is a lot of fun. Maybe. Or maybe it isn't. I don't know. It depends what dimension. Just not, okay, not dementia. Dimension we get. But I guess we get all of them. It just takes time to get to it. But you know what? Who knows? That theory is based in nothing other than just assumptions. Assuming that the universe regenerates itself over and over again, and assuming that consciousness operates in that fashion. If we are to believe that consciousness does derive from the construct of our body, then yeah, it probably would. We probably would regain consciousness. But like I said, we don't really know what consciousness is, kind of. And we don't really know what happens to the universe. So this theory is based on just a bunch of stuff that we do not know enough in to really confirm whether or not this is plausible. It sounds nice. And since I'll die before we'll ever get close to that truth, to any truth, I guess I can just live with it in mind. Of course, be open to any other possibility, but it is comforting to think that I will just regain consciousness at some different time, and the universe will be different in a positive or negative way, but still, I get to live this life in many, many, many different ways. And that's kind of cool. But also, it kind of sucks that I just have to be me the whole time. That I'm just stuck as Aiden Saint. But that's also kind of sweet. I'm stuck with being me for, I guess, all of time. So I guess that's cool. Oof, alright, well. I think that's what I wanted to say. You know, I feel really good about that. I don't think I've, I don't think I really gave anything that was insightful or something. Like I said, this is just the ramblings at now 3 in the morning. So it probably was just a bunch of nonsense, but I guess it's just nice to get off my chest, to deliver into the video, to record it, to document it, and to share it, whether anybody will or will not see it. It's still nice to get it off my chest. As we are social creatures, one of the best remedies in life is to share. And even though I have a lot of strong feelings towards social media, towards the internet and such, it's still a nice platform to see the wealth of just different perspectives and experiences, and just all sorts of different people and different cultures and different ideas, and endless, on and on. It's a labyrinth of humanism, really, of knowledge, of entertainment, of etc., right? So, it's cool in that regard. It's cool. But it has been 30 minutes, and I will call it there. Thank you if you have made it this far in watching, and I hope you have a good day, a good night, a good week, and a good life. Goodbye.